Thank you, Hugh. It is my pleasure to introduce the president of American Atheists, executive producer of the Reason Rally, author of the soon-to-be-released I, Atheist, America's Loudest Heathen Fires Back, and the model for the WTF meme face on the internet, Dave Silverman.
Good afternoon, everybody. Oh, I'm sorry, are we atheists or are we Unitarians? Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Wow, we're atheists. That's good. It's my pleasure to be here today. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Do we have a picture? Do we have a picture? The title of my talk today is Ready, Aim, Firebrand, and it's a defense of hardline atheism. Before I get into this, I would like to say thank you to Hugh for a great speech, and to JT as well, and to mention that I'm going to be spending some time over the next 25 minutes trying to convince you to be a hardline, hard-ass, firebrand atheist like me. If at the end of this time you don't agree with me, Joe Nickel, you are still going to be an ally. Okay, let us pray. It works! See that? Must be real, must be true. So, I'm going to just talk, this is a 1 hour talk, I'm going to go through it in 25 minutes, I'm going to try my best, I'm going to talk about what firebrand atheism is. This is our work dog, Sagan. What firebrand atheism is and what it is not. A lot of people think that they know what firebrand atheism is. Can I have my water, please? And they don't even know. So I'm going to talk about that, then I'm going to go into numbers. Atheists like numbers, and I like numbers. And I have numbers to back up my assertions. Ooh. And I'm going to finally use those numbers to convince you, or I should say, try to convince you why you should be a firebrand atheist. But first I want to talk about what firebrand atheism is not. This is Dr. Phil Plait, somebody I respect quite a bit. He wasn't talking about me when he gave his famous "Don't be a dick" speech, but people somehow think he was, so I'm adopting it. How many of you became a skeptic because someone got in your face screaming and called you an idiot, brain damaged, and a retard? Okay? That's kind of... that was a rhetorical question, Sean. Bill O'Reilly calls us insane, calls us fascists, and says we're pushing our agenda on the rest of us. And for all their ranting and raving and name-calling, these atheists will stand before God one day. Good old Ken Ham came out with that. And although I will admit to a little bit of ranting and raving, the rest of this is not firebrand atheism at all. The rest of it is simply not firebrand atheism. Firebrand atheism is best described in 5 points. And the first one is the most obvious. Tell the truth. Right? Tell the truth. And tell the truth as often as possible. And the emphasis is on the tell. Because silence is the opposite of telling. So tell the truth. You know what the truth is. Get it out of your mouth. That means religion is a lie. All of it. Yes, it is. Gods are false. All of them. Yes, they are. Okay? We don't have to pussyfoot around this stuff when we're talking to people. It's the truth, and we all know it. Yes, we can talk about, well, ethical culturists is sometimes a religion, and sometimes it's not. And well, secular Jews, but what we're talking about is the theistic religions that we all know I'm talking about. And it's all a lie, and there are no gods, and they're all myths, and we all agree on that, and we should be speaking those words. Respect is earned, right? It's not demanded, it's earned. And religion hasn't earned any. Belief does not warrant respect. That's the truth, right? That's something that we can all agree on. This is what firebrand atheism is, telling the truth. Point 2, don't feign respect for the unrespectable, see point 1. Right? If you're feigning respect for the unrespectable, you're not telling the truth. Don't accept inequality as acceptable, even if it is the norm, see point 2. Okay? If somebody says, well, it's always been this way, that's a real good reason to change it. Okay? There's a lot of things that have always been this way that are wrong. And one of the things that we as atheists must do is not shy away from, well, it's always been this way. It's always been this way is a good reason to change it. It just means it's old. If someone claims to be offended by the truth, it is because they are used to the privilege and the inequality that comes with it. Don't let "I'm offended by your words" silence you. Clarify that it's the beliefs and not the people with which you take issue. See point 3. You see how this all builds on itself. And number 5, if someone tries to limit your freedom using religion, do points 1 to 4 only louder. Now, I put this guy up here. Most of you know who this guy is. This is the pedophile prophet Muhammad of Islam, which I am openly on tape representing as the pedophile prophet of Islam. He's up there for a very good reason. Because we are told that we can't use it. Okay? We don't do Draw Muhammad Day to piss off Muslim people. We do Draw Muhammad Day because Muslim people tell us we can't. Okay? If somebody says, oh, it hurts my religion when you do that, well, that sucks for your religion. Okay? If I were part of your religion, I would care. But it's not. Somebody was up here before, I don't remember who it was, blanking, was talking about Freemasonry. And somebody, that reminds me of a joke, a man walks up to another man who's wearing a Freemason ring and says, oh, you must be a Freemason. No, I just have the ring. Well, you can't wear the ring unless you're a Freemason. Well, if I'm not a Freemason, I don't have to obey those rules, so I just wear the ring. So, I told you about data. Now that we know what firebrand atheism is, I'm going to tell you about data. I skipped a few slides in this presentation and went right to this chart. Now, I want to show you a little bit about this chart. If I come out here, can you all hear me?
Yeah.
You all can hear me? Raise your hand in the back if you can hear me. Okay. So, you can't see the chart at all. Okay, so I'm going to tell you what you would see if you could actually see this chart. You've got a blue line here, and you've got red lines down here. The blue line, and I want you just to imagine that you could actually see this chart. These blue lines are atheist, searches for the word atheist in Google over time. Okay? And when you're searching for the word atheist in Google over time, random menus pop up. Every time there's a press hit, somebody searches for So every month, they measure the amount of times people search for the word atheist. And when there's a press hit, there's a spike. And when there's not a press hit, there's a trough. So I drew this red line to represent the trough. How normal is it, how often do people search in the word atheist without provocation? And I use that as a barometer for atheist normalcy. People searching the word atheist without provocation, that's atheist normalcy. And as you can see, the peaks come up, and then it goes back down to the floor. But right around here, something happened. Right around here, something happened which made those searches go up, and then it never went down to the floor. Thank you. The floor actually raises right here. Okay? So what happened to that? Well, right down here, in late 2006, The God Delusion, Letter to a Christian Nation, and God Is Not Great came out. And there was a whole bunch of press around that. And what happened was normalcy raised, and there was a new floor that was established. The non-press hit searches for atheists never goes back down to this first floor. It has a new second floor. Then what happens? Well, over time, things progress. Not wow yet. So, as you can see, it stays at this floor level for a while. Every time there's a spike, every time there's a Christmas, there's a spike. That's the Bill O'Reilly factor. That's our role on Christmas. So Christmas, and there's always a spike. This is Bill O'Reilly right here, and it always goes back down to the bottom. And then, right here, something big happened. Richard Dawkins put Stop Worrying and Enjoy Your Life on a whole bunch of buses in London. Remember that? Now, how do I know that that's what did it? Well, I simply look up the bus, look up the date, and the word atheist, and that's the only thing that comes up. So we know that that's probably, very, very likely, the press here that caused this. And as you can see, it raises the floor again. And as you can see, we have another Christmas of '09 spike here, followed by a trough. And then there's this little tail right here. That little tail is September of 2010. In September of 2010, two things happened. You Google September of 2010 atheist, you're going to get two hits. Number one, the Pew Research came out that said atheists know more about religion than religious people. Remember that? The second thing that happened in September of 2010 was I was elected president of American Atheists. Far more important. At least in my view. So what did we do? Well, we started to do some hardline advertising. You know it's a myth. You know it's a scam. You know there is no God. We know you're right. And look what happened. Now, in the period between September of 2010 and right about January of 2012, the floor raised twice as much as the other two raises. This difference right here is as big as these two combined. Why? What made that floor rise so much? Well, let's look at the data and find out. First, we look at the correlations. I correlated these, I just basically did searches on all these peaks. It's not hard. January 2012 atheist. What comes up? What makes that peak? Well, in Christmas of 2010, you know it's a myth. Then you know they're all scams. You know there is no God. We know you're right. You know it's nonsense. That's the big billboard war that we had with the Rapture scam people. Remember the Rapture, May of 2012? I'm sorry, 11. Christmas 11, tell your family there is no God. They just might agree. Then the Arabic and Hebrew billboards made a huge amount of news. The number one kicker, the Reason Rally. Number two, after that, the Christian and Mormon billboards that we put up to chase Mitt Romney around Florida. That was fun. And finally, the Christmas Times Square billboard. So every single one of these peaks seems to correspond with an act from American Atheists. And remember, I'm talking specifically about American Atheists, not about the atheist movement at this time. Now, does that mean causation? Well, we're not there yet. Let's look a little bit more, because we don't really know that this actually correlates with our activity. So let's look at that. There we go. So if you look at the peaks for American Atheists, they would only peak due to our activity, right? That makes sense. American Atheists is only going to peak due to our activity, and those peaks line up almost perfectly with peaks for the word atheist. And just to let you know, the words American Atheists, I didn't put them on the same chart because American Atheist is so much smaller than atheist that you should not be thinking that American Atheists is actually impacting atheists because it's that much smaller. Now, next thing to look for. Well, maybe it's the whole movement, right? Maybe all of atheism is going up, but it's not. Because if you look at atheist and humanist and secular and agnostic and skeptic along the same lines, along the same scale, you see something very, very clear. Only atheist is moving up. Only atheist. Agnostic going down. Secular humanist going down. Skeptic stable. Nobody's rising. Only atheism is rising, and only rising as quickly as this is right around there, September 2010. There's this big agnostic peak right here. You should ignore that because that's when the president said he was agnostic on finance reform. So other labels are searched less frequently and are roughly unchanged or in decline. Only atheist is growing and dramatically so. And so whatever is affecting atheist as searches is only affecting atheist as searches. Whatever is doing it is not doing it to the whole movement. It's only doing it to atheist as a search. Atheists calling ourselves atheists. Growth is easy. Now, there are a couple of charts, there are a couple of places. I picked the Pew Research to base this out of because it's the only place where I could have really good consistent data over a 5-year period, and I mapped that to the Google search for atheists, and that's what we found. A rise in the search for atheists right around here corresponds directly to a rise in people calling themselves atheists, and a rise in people calling themselves agnostics. Interesting. No rise in the use of the word agnostic in the Google searches, but a rise in the use of the word agnostic as an identifier in the exact same time frame as the rise in atheists, which is in the exact same time frame as the rise in the Google searches for the use of the word atheists, which is the exact same time frame as hardline firebrand atheist tactics. So the use of the word atheist correlates with hardline atheist activism, and agnostic as well correlates with hardline atheist activism, which suggests that people are coming to our side but using agnostic as a stepping stone term. Proof positive? No. But if we were to take all of this data and put it together and look at it all at once, we get some good solid correlation. Correlation is not causation, but that's a lot of correlation. It's a strong correlation. In fact, the person who did the, never mind. I lost the line there, so I'm just going to skip over it. If we were 100% right, if American Atheists was 100% right, if everything was going according to plan because of the plan, although this is correlation and is not causation, if it was causation, this is exactly what we would expect to see. So we can look at this in two different ways. There's a lot of correlation here, and we're getting exactly the results that we would expect to see as a firebrand organization putting up firebrand ads. Why are you doing this? Well, because we're looking for results like this and like that. And then we get to this. The subtitle of this talk is The Quantifiable Effects of Hardline Atheism. That red line right there, right here, represents where atheism would be if not for the change, and where agnosticism would be if not for the change. If we're right, and it looks like we are, that means we're talking about 942,000 new self-described atheists in America directly as a result of American Atheists activity. And an additional 1.25 million Americans calling themselves agnostics for the same reason. Yeah, that's worth clapping for. So, why be firebrands? Why do it? It's not just about the numbers. Well, it's kind of about the numbers, but let's talk a little bit about why be firebrands. People need to know that open and even harsh criticism of religion is okay, and indeed good and necessary for this country to flourish. People need to know that that's allowed. People need to know that it's not just allowed, but that it's a very, very good thing. Even if they find it distasteful, they deserve to hear it. I'm reminded of Tracy's speech earlier today when she was in that cult. Wouldn't she have benefited from hearing earlier on that there was a choice? Wouldn't she have benefited earlier on hearing and knowing that there was an active, thriving atheist population out there, or even that there were a plurality of religious beliefs out there? They deserve to know. We must realize that religious people are victims. They're not evil, they're not stupid, they're victims. They're good people most of the time, and they're victims of a very, very bad meme that is infecting their society and our society. And they deserve to hear what we have to say. Bigotry comes from ignorance. Forcing the conversation allows enlightenment and de-demonizes atheism and atheists. That's right. That's why I tell people to use the word atheist all the time. That's why I'm telling every single one of you, even you, to use the word atheist, because it de-demonizes the word. You can have a great conversation with somebody and call yourself something other than an atheist, a secular humanist, a bright, a secular this, an agnostic, and they will walk away saying, oh, that's a nice person. At least he wasn't an atheist. That's not what you want. If you're talking about religion, you've got yourself a learning opportunity there. Time to dismantle some bigotry. If they don't like atheists, time to use the word atheist and put a smile on your face and give them a good reference point for yourself. Atheists honoring religion legitimizes it in the eyes of the theists. But religion deserves no honor, and theists deserve honesty without hostility. So I've got a friend, and I've got a few friends, and this particular friend is a Muslim. And he came up to me several months ago now, and he said, you know, Dave, I got to tell you, I respect your beliefs. I really do. He said, your beliefs are based on logic and rationality, and you present them very well, and I want to tell you that I respect that. And I said, well, thank you very much. And he said, well, and now you should also respect my religious beliefs as well. No. No, that's not how it works. Respect is not given because you respect me. You respect me because my beliefs are respectable. And if you show me that it's not respectable, I'll change my beliefs, right? We're not talking about invisible men in the sky. We're talking about logic and reason and science, and that's why our beliefs are logical and rational beliefs. Theirs are not. Theirs are based on a myth. Now, I had that conversation with my friend, and he didn't like hearing what I had to say. He would have liked it better had I said, yes, of course I respect your religious beliefs. Of course, that would have been a lie, right? I would have lied to my friend. And what would I have done? I would have reinforced his beliefs in his head. I would have given him the opportunity to say, oh, even the atheists think my religion is reasonable and rational. No, I'm not going to give him that. I'm going to tell him the truth because he's my friend. I'm going to help him because he's a nice person, because I respect him as a person, and because I understand that he, like all theists, are victims and needs help. And a lot of people don't like when I talk like this. A lot of people say I sound like a religionist when I talk like this. Oh, you're talking about going up to people and telling them about atheism. You know what? That's the truth. We have to realize that religion, if we're going to sit here and we're going to take the Hitchens approach, religion poisons everything. Religion is a poison of the mind. It is our ethical responsibility as good people to help people out of it. And so I don't want people coming to me and saying, oh, well, you sound like a religionist. Well, unfortunately, the truth is the truth. And the ethical thing for us to do is to help theists out of that place. But doesn't it harm atheism to be firebrands? No. How am I doing on time? 5 minutes. Okay. So I had a friend who saw a billboard and decided to go back into the closet. This is the most common objection that I get. I had a friend. This friend has no name. He was an atheist, but he saw your billboard and he hated it so much that he went back into the closet and went back to church. This, my friend, is a lie. This is a lie, okay? Nobody looks at a billboard and changes his religious views. Nobody looks at a billboard and says, I don't like it, so I'm going to completely abandon everything I think and go worship an invisible man in the sky. No, it's wrong. That's not the truth. And one of the things that we have to deal with is a lot of extrapolation in this movement and a lot of accusation in this movement, and nobody likes it, and everybody thinks that it's very, very toxic, and I totally agree, and that's part of the stuff that we get. You make us all look bad. Ladies and gentlemen, we look far worse when we look like pushovers. We look far worse when we bend over. When we say, okay. When we say, no problem. You can infringe on our rights. You can put the cross there. You can say prayers at school. You can do whatever you want. We're being nice, but we're being pushovers. We're losing our rights by doing it, and it's our American duty not to do that. Theists will like us better if we coddle them. So if you all leave this room and you have one thing to remember from what Dave Silverman said during his speech, it is this: theists liking us is not the objective. Equality is the objective. If theists love us because we acquiesce to inequality, we fail. If they hate us because we demand equality and achieve it, we succeed. Is that clear? You sound like a religion when you push your agenda so hard. Bull. We sound like we're sick of unofficial second-class citizenry, which we are. So I'm inviting you to change the country and be a firebrand. Always call yourself an atheist. I don't care what the situation is. If you're an atheist, use the word. It is correct. Yes, many of you have supporting opinions on that. Many of you like to call yourselves more than atheists. If somebody asks you what your religious belief is, the word is atheist. The word is atheist. Anything else gives them a false impression. Anything else, you're just using a theist-approved term to make them feel better. My opinion, sorry, that's the truth. And you should be using the words that you choose, the words that are honest, the words that are truthful. The word is atheist. Openly compare gods to other myths and invite challenges. Invite challenges to your analogies. Why exactly is God different from Zeus? Why exactly is Jesus different from Quetzalcoatl or Santa Claus? Maybe Santa Claus is just really, really good at hiding. You can't prove it, it's not true. You can't prove it's not true, so why do you not believe in Santa Claus for sure? But because you can't prove that the invisible man in the sky isn't true, you give that a bye. Bash religion at will, but don't bash people, pity them. The theists are victims. They have to be recognized as such. Challenge loudly the encroachment of religion into your life or liberty. When somebody says to you, you can't do that because it hurts my religion, it's against my religion, it's time to do whatever that is, much more often and much louder. Never apologize. Never apologize for insulting religion, and be prepared to openly and loudly call out people who claim to be insulted personally because you insulted their religion. That's a tactic that they use. You're not going to let that slide. It offends me. That offends me. Is a statement that I have gotten several times when I've said the phrase, I'm an atheist. I say I'm an atheist, they say, I'm offended. That offends me. Too fucking bad. And please, please, please defend other firebrands. Avoid attacking intra-movement whenever possible. Avoid attacking intra-movement whenever possible. And one more point, avoid attacking intra-movement whenever possible. And don't be afraid of people calling you a dick because they are wrong and we have data. Nah. One more thing, I actually am only a couple minutes late. Atheist, America's Loudest Heathen Fires Back, looks like it's going to be coming out in the March time frame, not the December time frame, because I have a little bit more that I want to add. But it's going to be coming out probably in March, and it's a defense of the hardline atheism, and it should be pretty good. I think it's going to be pretty good. I expect a great big spike that's going to bring that floor way up. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate your time.